WWE 2K23 is coming out next month, but how is this game different than WWE 2K22? First things first, advanced entrances are being brought back which were not present in WWE 2K22. Well, according to the developers, the advanced entrances were quite buggy when they were implemented in the previous game, and they have been working on fixing it ever since to be used in this particular game. I'm happy to see that we're able to bring back something that the fans have been wanting for a while. The universe mode seemed to have been rewritten completely as well, and will have a bit more interesting stories than that of WWE 2K22. According to the developers, it's built on the same engine as MyRise, which means you get the access to the same tools, same animations, and everything else that MyRise has. Not exactly sure what that means yet. The developers also mentioned that before the match starts, you can actually select a cutscene that you want for that particular character. Now, this was actually present in the previous game called as run-ins, but the developers really said that there is something new in it, like shaking hands before the match starts, attacking before or after the match, bringing an ally to beat your opponent down, and more. Universe mode usually doesn't get a lot of changes, so if there are any changes, I would be surprised. Showcase mode is going to be quite different this time. It's based on John Cena once more, but instead of playing John Cena, as it would usually happen in the showcase mode, you are playing as the opponents to whom John Cena lost. Now, this allows people to play with different characters, and them having different movesets make every single match different from the others. This might be a lot of fun. Obviously, you have certain objectives that you need to complete so that you can transition from game footage to real footage. MyGM mode also has some changes. There will be more GMs this time around that you can choose, and this time you can also compete up to 4 GMs instead of just 1. Also, there are more matches added into the shows with different match types as well, and longer roster. In WWE 2K22, MyGM was really bare bones, and it looks like this time they're adding a little bit more, so let's see how really that's gonna play out. Now, something that was quite noticeable in the previous games were the created characters. They would look nothing like the WWE characters in terms of detail. Well, in WWE 2K23, that seems to be different. According to the devs, created superstars will be up to par with WWE superstars on how they look. This actually sounds really great because that's something that I've been wanting personally for a long time, on how created characters should be looking as good as the WWE characters. Maybe this is the game. The biggest thing that was added was, of course, War Games. It will be a 3v3 or 4v4 match with 2 rings side by side. The game has the NXT War Games Arena and Survivor Series War Games Arena, although they both look quite similar. The reason for this is when they were making the game, it was based off NXT's War Games. But then WWE announced Survivor Series War Games, and so they could not build another arena specifically based off Survivor Series. And that's why they just added the branding of Survivor Series in the NXT War Games Arena and just tweaked it a little bit. One unfortunate thing is that in the War Games, you will not be able to see the entrances of all the characters. You will only see the entrances of the 2 superstars who will start the match. As the match continues, you will also know who the next superstar will be entering into the match, as it shows their name next to the name of the current superstar present in the ring. Once a new superstar is coming to the ring, they can actually bring different kinds of weapons inside. You can choose any weapon from the ring using the same weapon wheel that you have been using in normal matches. You also have brand new animations on the cage, such as climbing the cage halfway and then diving from the top of the cage, springboarding from one ring to the other, and more. You can also fight between the rings, however, that is quite limited. You can throw some punches or land a DDT, and that's it. You can actually watch the full breakdown of War Games and more WWE 2K23 content by watching Smack Talks on YouTube. In terms of gameplay, it is quite identical to that of WWE 2K22, meaning there's really not so much changes, but there are small changes here and there. For example, the HUD has changed a little. You have health, momentum, and finishers with 3 bars. You can also utilize 2 paybacks in the match instead of 1, and you can switch between which payback you want to choose. To use the payback, you have to fill the meter to a certain point in the momentum bar, but if you are heavily damaged, that point goes down. So now you can easily fill it up by landing just a few punches and then use that payback. One small addition is weapon taunts. Each weapon will have a minimum of 1 or 2 weapon taunts, and it doesn't really add much to the match, but I think it's just nice that it's present. Speaking of small animations, you have new animations for kickouts, reaction to those kickouts, and also reversals, and they all try to make it as realistic as possible. Overall, WWE 2K23 and WWE 2K22 are not so different. They are very much similar. However, there are a few new changes, new additions added to the game, which is quite welcoming. But having the same game is not really a bad thing as long as the changes really improve the game. And that's what this game did when it brought with a remake. Check this video out about Dead Space Remake.